Hey guys, we're here with Rehan. Finished fifth place at Toronto Regionals with Yubel. Obviously, really strong deck. What are your thoughts on it?
So this is my first week playing this deck. I've been sort of punting with like tier 2 decks, and I'm like, I want a strong deck to carry me for once, and so this was a really cool deck. I played it before the Fiendsmith stuff, and I thought it was, like, the mechanics were really cool. So I picked this back up to play for the remainder of the format, and I used this regional as like a testing ground.
Awesome. Well, let's get to listing.
Okay, so this is nothing super spicy. 3 Samsara. So the nice part about this deck, I'll just like talk over while I introduce cards again, is that a lot of them function as like extenders as well, which is something that I missed in like some of the other decks that I played, like Centurion. 1 Nightmare Pain, 1 Yubel, 3 Yubel, 4 Yubel. Yeah, so just a very standard package, like you'll see in like just about every Yubel deck profile, but like if it's not broken, you don't really need to fix it. Then I have 3 Nightmare Throne, and then the 1 Terraforming. Really good card. Checks for Ash, the same way Brand Diffusion checks for Ash. And then 3 Fiendsmith Engraver. I know people play like, and then 1 Lacrima, and then 1 this. I know people sometimes like play 2, just because they want to cut down the card count, and they also want to see it through like the Requiem access rather than hard open it. But like in this deck, it just functions so well that it allows you to just play through more hand traps. And it allows you to like push second going as well. So I thought it was really good to play at 3, and I have no regrets. I sat it out 1 a lot going second, so I would only have like 2 in deck. Yeah, and then 1 Tract. 1 Sharvara, 1 Escape. So a lot of people have been playing Escape now. And so the reason that I've been told is that it helps you play through Fuwalos better. Because there's lines where like you just use like beckoning stuff, and then you end up giving your opponent 2 draws in exchange for Soul of Rage, Link 2, and then the Unchained Escape, which gives you 4 interactions with 2 draws, which is a very favorable trade. So there's that. The remainder of my deck building was kind of thinking about like the impact of Mulcharmy Fuwalos, just because that was like a really prominent card in the format. And one of the other reasons I forgot to like mention about like why I picked this deck was that I think Dominus Impulse is really hyped right now, and every single deck is playing Dominus Impulse. And I wanted a deck that can get hit by Dominus Impulse, but like Dominus Impulse isn't really backbreaking, while also having routes to play around Dominus Impulse. So when you start with like Lotus, or when you start with like Requiem with no cards on your side of the field, you're effectively playing around or mitigating the impact that Dominus Impulse can have. So I thought that was really cool, and I like that aspect of this deck. Whereas like other decks, for example, if you like Original Sinful Spoil, Brand Diffusion, Welcome Labyrinth, you get hit with like Dominus Impulse, and it's really big. So I like that aspect of this deck, and so I did get hit with Dominus Impulse a few times, and it really wasn't that big. But I think Furos is really big for this deck to deal with, and so there are a few anti-Furos cards in this deck, starting with Callback, and then Talons. I was playing Thrust on the side, and I wanted Talons somewhere in the deck, so I just mained it. And so like if they floors you, because most of the time people just wait for like the bait phase, especially like game 1s, they don't like full rows like in standby. And so you can just like check their hand and see, do I have enough tech cards to like get the pass back, rip their engine, and then go from there. And then there's a card that loses to Fuwalos, so there's 1 for 1. So yeah, those are like my 1-off power spells. And then the remainder of this deck is just non-engine and hand traps, just because it's a very hand trap heavy format. So we have our 3 Imperms. We have our, oops, I'm gonna go like this, 3 Mourner. I really like the effect negation because Diabellstar is everywhere in the format, and I think that's a really big card to like hit, and so I really like these. I played these for the YC Snagger as well, and I thought it was really promising. It also trades really well with Centurion. Centurion's engine is pretty weak, and so if their initial push doesn't go through, then they're often scrambling for an extender. So I thought like these were really good, and I also wanted to respect Tenpai a lot because I thought the Tenpai matchup was really scary. They have a lot of like blowout cards for your deck, so that's the inclusion of the Mourner. And I'm also playing a card in my side that sort of synergizes with Mourner, so Metaltronus, because if you get hit with the Drago, Quickie Mirror Drago in the Tenpai matchup, then you can summon out Mourner and negate it with Metaltronus, which is a nice interaction. So yeah. Those are like the effect negation hand traps. And then we have more anti-Fua cards. So 3 Ash, negate Fua. 3 Droll, trade with Fua. And then Fua, to trade with Fua. And so like Ash is pretty like reasonable, similar like with Maxi. There's a lot of lines in this deck where like it effectively plays through draw. So if you give your opponent like one draw and then draw them, you effectively turn Fuwa into a 1-for-1 rather than like a turn skip, which is what it's almost like meant to do right now. And so I thought the draw was really good, and I also played against like enough decks where like the draw is good into their engine as well. So I really liked it, and when you have like a half board and you insulate it with draw, it's really difficult to kill you based on the deck sometimes. So I thought the draws were good. So that is 16 hand traps. So this is shout out to Michael Walters. He pulled this last minute. It was a really good deal, and I bought it. And this is my 44th card. But realistically, if I had more, I would main more. And so effectively, the theory is that similar to like Maxi and Master Duel, the way you sometimes can beat Fua is with your own Fua. And so, for example, if your opponent, like especially in the Yubel matchup, if they know post side you're playing, Yubel, or if they know, in top cut that you're playing Yubel, they'll shotgun their Fuwaros, right? Because they don't want to get hit with the turn 1 Phantom, all right? Or so like a Phantom in main phase, that's like first action. Because that's something that is very common in Master Duel, to like beat Maxi. And so if they do that in standby phase, you can sort of gauge your hand as well, and then use your Fuwalos to also get the turn skip back to yourself. And then with cards like Spirit and stuff in the deck, it's very difficult for you to die very often. And so I thought like moving forward, eventually when I do accumulate all 3 pieces of Fuwalos, I'm gonna have like more Fuwalos in my deck, because effectively the way you trade with Fuwalos is with Fuwalos as well. So that is my main deck. It is 44 cards. I thought it was pretty good. I ended up like cutting down on some of the engine, like such as like just playing 1 Gravescormer, just because I wanted to make sure that I see my non-engine, primarily like anti-Fuwalos cards. So extra deck, Double Phantom. I was looking for the third, but Young-Ho sold his, and so because this is my first week with the deck, and a lot of the times like I don't know the lines, or like I'll scuff up the lines. Because Lucas Sacco has a very good spreadsheet, so shout out to him. Unfortunately, I've had midterms this week and I cannot memorize spreadsheets, so I just needed something to like help me, sort of help training wheels this through. So Double Phantom, I didn't really miss the third, and I don't think I'll play the third moving forward, but it would have been nice to have Youngo.
Why didn't you just pull it from your OTS pack?
Oh, true. Skill issue. And then I have the Varudras. So this is just a staple, very good card. Caesar, last minute edition. I learned some lines of like how you play on the draw, or like how you play with like some the Muckracker sometimes, and that's when you're feed locked, and that's when you have to like go to like DDDD. I said like 4Ds instead of like the Varudras. So it was good for that. It came up a few times. I'm glad I played it. Then just like the quick Fiendspit package. I was saying earlier how when the Fiendspit cards came out, I thought they were like broken and unhealthy for the game. But actually, these are really nice for the game, and it really changes your perception when you're the ones using them. But these cards were really good, and I'm glad I was able to finally play a deck with Fiendspit cards in them. And then lastly, Yama, and then these. So because I play Escape, double Yama. But also, like, even if I wasn't playing Escape, I think the double Yama is crazy. It just helps you, like, push through boards and, like, push with extension as well. People cite, like, the access code Anguish package sometimes, but, like, I really like this package. And I kind of miss the access code sometimes today just because I don't know how to put up damage sometimes with this deck, but also skill issue. But I like the Anguish a lot. Anguish into Rage, going second to, like, half boards is really good. So I'm glad I played the Anguish. And then lastly, the Muckracker for some of the combo lines, and then the SP to banish everything. So that is the extra deck. And last but not least, gonna go with the side deck. So Perulia to draw into my 1 Fuwalos. So there was that. I played against Gen X round 3. And that deck normal summons a lot. I didn't see this stuff. But like, it would have been nice, and I would have probably decked out. So I would have lost the game anyways. So yeah, Perulia. More anti-Fuwa cards. This is very common in the format where like you'll play DDG and then you play like D-Barrier in the format just to like counter and get a turn skip back. I had a few issues with this. Notably, like I know a lot of Tempai players are playing Crosshair for DDG, but also they can kill under DDG. D-Barrier. And your thrusts can get Ash, and so there's like a few issues with this. And so the other consideration I had, and this was something that some of my testing group really talked about earlier in the format with like in Phantom Nightmare, was playing Solemn Strike, because effectively if you get like hand trapped out of your engine or you get turn skipped out of your engine, Solemn Strike trades really effectively into like the opponent's engine. So if they lead with DL Bellstar, if they lead with Snake Eye Ash, and you Solemn Strike that's a really big counter. right? Same thing if they go Chandra, if they go like, battle phase shenanigans with like Tenpai, you can strike those. And I thought strike was really promising. Especially like if you use like hand traps and you get like the turn back, now strike insulates you from more hand traps. So I thought that was really cool, but it unfortunately didn't make like the final cut of the list. It was really good in testing, and I might consider it again in the future. So there's that. Because Centurion is now hyped in the format, we're playing Cosmic. Because this beats Deck Lockdown, this beats Centurion. That's kind of about it. Also, it's a regional, so people just play like random shenanigans. Metaltronus for the Yubel mirror match, but also this has really good application into Crimson Dragon. So I side this into Centurion because they go Crimson Dragon, you Metaltronus them, and then you summon out Effect Veiler, which is now a body for you to go into Moon Maiden. So card's really good. Also really good to like negating like Caesar and like Phantom and things like that. So I really am glad I played this card and might even consider bumping it up to 3. We'll see. Then the reason I had to cut the strikes. Sorry, Kevin. So this good card. I think like I only needed it once, and I think so. Like I largely played this because this is my second time ever playing this deck IRL. So I felt like I might be slow with some of the lines, like unintentionally, unfortunately. But this really didn't come up. It came up like one game only. So, but I'd probably cut this moving forward. Like honestly, you don't need this. And then Rivalry to be Centurion. Man, I've said Centurion a lot. I played this deck for the YCS and now I hate it. So Rivalry because Snake Eyes, Azamina Rescue Ace, and then Centurion. So yeah, and there's like some random stuff as well. Are all the like Mermail cards Sea Serpent?
Most of them are.
Okay.
Some are fish.
Okay, well, never mind. We're not putting this against Mermail. But yeah, so I just played Rivalry. But before I made this change, I was playing double Solemn Strike. And honestly, I might just consider going back to double Solemn Strike because I think Tenpai is a really, really scary matchup. But yeah, so that is it for my 5th place, very non-standard, non-salted Yubel deck. Shoutouts Council of Rubina. Shoutouts to Matt for always being down for games post LED. And for scavenging cards for me.
That was half a year ago.
And then shout out to Kevin for the Metaltronus. Shout out to Kevin for taking his round 7 loss like a champ.
Yikes.
Shout out to Yango for
That's crazy.
telling me not to play Centurion. And I think. Oh wait, no. And then sorry. Also shout out to my fiance Sharon for. I almost missed her again.
We'll see if you have to catch that. Thank you so much. Take care.